Hello, my name is Abigail. This is my presentation for Business 501, Sexual Harassment in the Workplace. Before I continue, I would like to look at the overview of what my presentation entails. Definition of sexual harassment, historical background of sexual harassment in the workplace, types of sexual harassment and behavior that can create a hostile work environment, ways that sexual harassment can occur, negative effects of sexual harassment, strategies to stop sexual harassment in the workplace, what an harassed employee should do, protection for a sexually harassed employee, and organization incorporating anti-sexual harassment into its ethical culture, and the conclusion. The U.S. Equal Opportunity Employment Commission defines sexual harassment in the workplace as unwelcome sexual advance or conduct of a sexual nature which unreasonably interferes with the performance of a person's job or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Sexual harassment in workplace has remained a significant and costly problem in today's environment. Sexual harassment in the workplace is a form of sex discrimination that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a federal law that prohibits employers from discriminating against any employee based on race, national origin, sex, and religion. Over the years, there have been several lawsuits and allegations of several sexual harassment in several industries such as education, movie, sport, retail, marketing, finance, agriculture, food, fitness, healthcare, journalism, law enforcement, military, politics. Sexual harassment is a significant problem that has cost a lot of organizations millions of dollars, from payment of lawsuit to settlement of the harassed. Since 2010, more than 51,000 sexual harassment charges have been filed with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Women file the majority of the sexual harassment cases. However, the percentage of sexual harassment claims filed by men has risen. Sexual harassment can be verbal, visual, written, and physical. Sexual harassment can be traced back to the era of chattel slavery in the 1620s. Chattel slavery is a kind of slavery that existed in the United States before the Civil War. Historically, women were the victims of sexual harassment in the hands of predatory men. For decades, there were few significant changes in the way women were treated at work. The turning point finally came in the mid-1970s as the women liberation movement began to challenge a justice system as well as a culture at large that failed to recognize women's consent. The campaign against sexual harassment was the natural extension of the grassroots anti-rape and anti-battery movement, which grew out of consciousness raising sessions in which women shared personal stories and realized they were not alone in their experiences. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission stated that there are two types of sexual harassment: quid pro quo and hostile work environment. Quid pro quo type of sexual harassment is a type of sexual harassment where benefits relating to employment such as increase in salary, promotion, exclusion from difficult tasks is offered to an employee in exchange for a sexual favor. The organization is always liable for quid pro quo harassment. The second type of sexual harassment, which is hostile work environment, exists where there is repeated exposure to sexual-oriented behaviors in a way that the sexual nature of the behavior pervades the environment. The organization may be liable for hostile work environment. Two requirements must be shown to indicate that hostile work environment exists in a particular workplace. 1. The conduct must be unwelcome. 2. The conduct must be so severe or pervasive that it creates an offensive work environment. Behaviors that can potentially create a hostile work environment are as follows: publicly displayed pictures, cartoons, images, dolls, and drawings with a sexual theme or of a sexual nature. Pervasive telling of offensive, dirty, or sexually related jokes or stories. Repeated touching of a sexual nature without permission or consent The use of offensive terms with a sexual meaning, repeated requests for dates, emails, memos, or other communication with sexual materials included. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission says sexual harassment can occur in a variety of circumstances, including but not limited to the following. The victims are, as well as the harasser, may be a woman or a man. The victim does not have to be of the opposite sex. The harasser can be the victim's supervisor, an agent of the employer, a supervisor in another area, a co-worker, or a non-employee. The victim does not have to be a person harassed but could be anyone affected by the offensive conduct. Unlawful sexual harassment may occur without economic injury to or discharge of the victim. The harasser's conduct must be unwelcome. What are the negative effects of sexual harassment? Sexual harassment can have various consequences for everyone in the organization, not just those involved. Consequences for the company: loss of employee. An employee who is sexually harassed might decide to stop working for an organization. In addition, friends, family members, co-workers can quit working for an organization because of fear of retaliation. The public image of the organization may suffer, and also profit reduction or financial loss. A company's share or sale of products might drop as a result of sexual harassment allegation against any employee of the organization. For instance, advertisers fled Fox Bill O'Reilly's show amid sexual harassment lawsuit. Consequences for the sexual harassers. There are consequences for sexual harassers in the workplace. Loss of job. If the harasser is found guilty, he may be fined and possibly go to jail. And bad reputation. The person might have the harasser's reputation will be tarnished. And let's look at the consequences for the harassed employee. Indirect pressure on the harassed to quit the job. If the harassed individual fails to comply, he might lose his job. The person is at risk of promotion. The sexual harassed individual can have decreased morale and decreased job satisfaction, irreversible damage to interpersonal relationship at work, traumatic stress disorder, emotional and physical instability that can result in low productivity of the harassed, and loss of wages for the harassed. Employer strategies to stop harassment in the workplace are as follows. The employer should enforce zero tolerance of sexual harassment, develop and communicate anti-harassment policy to all staff, make sure all employees, both old and new, understand the policy and procedures for dealing with harassment by providing training, information, and education to all the staff. Ensure that all managers and supervisors understand their responsibility to provide a harassment-free work environment. Promptly investigate and deal with all complaints of harassment and discipline employees who harass other employees. Provide protection and support for the employee who feel they are being harassed. Take action to eliminate disciplinary jokes, posters, drawing, emails, and photos at workplace. Regularly monitor and revise the policy and the education and information programs to ensure that it is still effective in the workplace. The employers are not the only ones that have parts to play in order to stop sexual harassment in the workplace. The employees also have their own duties to play in order to stop sexual harassment in the workplace. And some of them are: 1. Understand and become familiar with the organization policy on sexual harassment. 2. The employee should observe, be aware, be conscious of engaging in potential sexual harassment behaviors or conduct or incidents at work. 3. The employee should be sensitive to individuals who may be offended by the verbal or non-verbal behavior. 4. The employee should be aware of subtle forms of sexual harassment and watch for and discourage sexual behaviors that negatively affect work. And 5. The employee should not assume that other employees or co-workers enjoy to hear sexual-related jokes or sexual-oriented comments about their appearance, or to be touched, stared at, or proposition for regular date favor. What an harassed employee should do. Personally, the harassed employee should personally inform the harasser that the behavior is unwelcome. If the communication is effective and the harasser and the victim is satisfied, he might just allow the case to rest there. However, if the communication is not effective, the harassed employee might decide to report the sexual harassment allegation to the responsible department official. The harassed employee can also use mediation process. Mediation is an informal way to resolve office problems using a trained mediator who facilitates communication between the parties to dispute. An harassed employee can also decide to use grievance procedure. The civil service employees who are covered by negotiated grievance procedure may file a grievance alleging sexual harassment, and also the harassed employee might decide to go through the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to file an allegation about the incident. The employee must contact the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission counselor within 45 days of the incident. And it is not necessary for the harassed individual to tell his or her supervisor before contacting the Equal Employment Opportunity counselor. Protection for those sexually harassed. The organization should take necessary steps to protect any employee who reports any incident of sexual harassment from any form of hostility and retaliation. It is a violation of the federal law to retaliate against someone who has reported possible sexual harassment. Violators may be subject to discipline. Employers incorporating anti-sexual harassment into organizational ethical culture. The employers should ensure that the culture reflects no tolerance for sexual harassment, and it should be clearly written in the organizational policy. They should ensure that women have supportive supervisors and work group, since women are mostly the victims of sexual harassment. Posting of zero tolerance of sexual harassment notices in strategic places in the organization, and regular assessing and training of all staff to address sexual harassment issues. Conclusion. The risks associated with sexual harassment claim and associated litigation can present dangers to organizations. Employees are expected to behave professionally and to exercise good judgment in work-related relationships. All employees are expected to take appropriate measures to prevent sexual harassment. Unwelcome behavior of a sexual nature should be stopped before it becomes severe or pervasive and raises to a violation of law. By being proactive, instituting sound policy and offering comprehensive training, employees or management can reduce the likelihood of sexual harassment occurring in the workplace. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time.